guys, so this is the first night of Northwest Gospel Winter Camp, and we can't wait to start off this winter camp and just worship with all these guys and girls, and we're gonna have some fun tonight.
Yeah, so first night of worship is always really interesting, one, because lately I've been running sound. That's the first thing, like very first thing I'm thinking about is like, are people engaging in worship or are they freaked out because I mixed it too loud? As soon as we get through the first song, I can stop thinking about sound because it's like anything that could go wrong is done now. And then basically, yeah, once we get going, it's always really cool because you just see oftentimes students that, you know, are hesitate to the students that actually make their way all the way up onto the, right at the podium, right at the beginning, you know, worshiping together. And it's just fun from there normally.
The first night was cool, like an introduction to the band, I guess. I remember like being one of those students to like see Final Greetings play for the first night, and now being a part of the team, like it's cool to kind of get an outside perspective of all that. You can really see like the Holy Spirit kind of moving through certain kids' heart and like tugging on their hearts and stuff.
So the first mealtime is honestly for me pretty nerve-wracking. It's kind of like forcing yourself into an awkward situation.
So usually at meal times I try and sneak in a little early and plant myself at a table so that people come to me, which helps me a little bit.
I think this is definitely the one thing that has changed the most for me since I've been on the road. I feel like the first few times, or not even the first few times, the first like half a year, it was like the most difficult thing ever.
And the funny thing is like, I'll be all nervous to go up to a table and ask, but as soon as I ask and they say yes and I sit down, I'm like, all right, cool, I'm here. So, what's your guys' story? What do you like? Oh man, why are you drinking ketchup through a straw? Kind of a thing.
Though the first night is sometimes a little difficult, I just try and make it an opportunity to get to know them and help them feel like they're important because we're there at the camp for the kids anyway.
Being a part of the games is definitely huge because it's usually always like competitive or silly, and so getting to be a part of that's like fun and you get to know people better. Definitely an icebreaker.
One of the very first games at the beginning, Garrett, you and me, we got to be zombies, chasing kids while they're trying to solve puzzles, and like we're on a leash, slowly getting released. And after that, all the kids are calling me like, "Oh, you're the zombie!" And suddenly it was like I had a connection with all the kids, so that's really cool.
It's a time where we can really just build trust and build bonds with these students. I got to be a zombie with Sam, as he was saying. I got into character maybe a little much. 100% worth it. I really enjoyed it. And after that, Sam and I were just called the zombies, so that was pretty cool. And so just like that, and now I can have an instant in with these students and be able to just relate with them on a funny level, but it unlocks a whole entire other level.
The last night is definitely really cool. I like watching the progression of kids during worship from the first night through the rest of camp. And the last night is where they really let loose because no one cares about what their friends are thinking anymore. And the majority of the kids are just wanting to be full into worship and full into service.
I just feel like the last worship nights are super powerful, and I don't know if I don't think it's necessarily like anything that we do special or I do special. I just feel like hearts are more open those nights and they're already ready and they have their ears open for God to speak to them.
It's just cool to kind of see that initial, I guess, worship night and then see it like evolve to the final night or the final day or whatever.
Students are more engaged. They're definitely like thinking about the songs more, and it's not just like singing songs. It's like worshiping God by the last night.
It's like kind of the pinnacle of camp, and like really what, like for a lot of people, what we're trying to accomplish at these camps. Like as much as I think it's great just hanging out with the kids and getting to know their stories, but also like the moment when like some of these kids are gonna literally turn their lives to Christ, and like this could be their moment.
And it's just really cool to see the breakthroughs that have happened and that continue to happen that last night. It's great because there is an expectation, since it's the last night, that they want to get everything out of it that they can. So there are no holds barred. They're all into worship. They're jumping, they're dancing, they're raising their hands. Some of them get on their knees. And it's just this complete abandon, wanting to get everything out of that experience that they can.
Students are just like, okay, do I want to believe in this or not? Do I want to let my guard down? Do I want to stop being this macho man to give this my all? And when you see like the most like tough guy, it's nothing can bother him, like break down and admit his faults and admit he's not enough, and he needs Christ in his life, it's an amazing thing. At the end of the day, we can build relationship, we can play games, we can do whatever, but we're doing this for one reason, and that's to bring people to Christ. And so to see the toughest of the tough give Christ their everything, it just makes it all worth it. It really does.
I both love and hate the last day of camp. It's great because it means that, I get to sleep in the next morning. But at the same time, I do sometimes struggle saying goodbye to the kids because I've invested a few days in them, and I've started to get to know some of them, and it's a really cool feeling when you see them and their eyes light up and they smile and they wave you to come talk to them.
It was interesting because a lot of kids like to take pictures and have me sign autographs and do that thing, and it's always cool. So I always try to like take advantage of that and like make, because oftentimes it's a lot of kids that I didn't even get a chance to talk to yet that week if it's a bigger camp, that it's like they're coming up getting like autographs. It's a quick way to just be like, oh, what's your name, man? Like, how are you? Did you have fun at camp? And for me, it's definitely trying to make all those last minute connections, but then like any kids are really connected with, making sure to carve out some time just to sit and like say goodbye to them and, you know, encourage them, and oftentimes even just, you know, exchanging Instagrams and stuff like that just so we can stay in contact in the future.
It's always a bittersweet moment for me. They're all coming up to us to say goodbye, and I'm like kind of sad about it because you've built these relationships, you've gotten to have new friends, but now it's time to say goodbye. And yeah, we'll be back next year unless the coronavirus happens. But it's a lot of fun being able to take pictures with them, hug, and, you know, just reminisce about the week or whatever it may be. Sign autographs if they want them on weird things like foreheads and money.
Some of the girls have a little bit of tears in their eyes, and they're just like, I'm gonna miss you, will we see you next year? And I both love and hate it, because in that moment, I hate it because I know I'm not gonna be around them for a while, but I also know that I made a difference because they want to come up to me, they want to say goodbye. We do it for the people. We do it for the kids that are at camps, and we do it to see lives changed and lives grown. And so I like to show that these kids have become important to me because ultimately they're important to God. So I love and hate the last day.
Why did Jesus choose to live off of support when he could make money appear out of anywhere? Think about this for a second.